Leave me be. Hey. Ugh!
Could do with a bite to eat.
Praise be to our Lord Jesus.
Described as follows. From Easter until the calends of October. When they come out from prime in the morning, let them labor at whatever is necessary until about the 4th hour. And from the 4th hour until about the 6th, let them apply themselves to reading. After the 6th hour, having left the table, let them rest on their beds in perfect silence, or if anyone may perhaps want to read, let him read to himself in such a way as not to disturb anyone else. Let none be said rather early, at the middle of the 8th hour, and let them again do what work has to be done until vespers. Weak or sickly brethren should be assigned a task or craft of such a nature as to keep them from idleness, and at the same time not to overburden them or drive them away with excessive toil. Their weakness must be taken into consideration by the abbot. The rule of Saint Benedict, readings on the spirit of silence. Let us do what the prophet says. I've said, I will guard my way, that I may not sin with my tongue. I have set a guard to my mouth.
Gregor, talk
I
to
was
me.
mute and was humble, and kept silent even from good. Here the prophet shows that if the spirit
I found
of
this
silence
piece of parchment.
lead us to
It looks like it's been ripped out of a book.
so much
I've
more
no
must be
idea.
punished sits.
Why don't you
For
ask
each
Brother
word.
Librarian?
Therefore, since the spirit of silence is so important, permission to speak should rarely be granted even
I'd like to
to
ask you something about the
silence,
monastery.
even though it is good, holy,
Who's in
and
charge of things around here?
for it is
Abbot
written,
Peter is the administrator of the monastery, but you won't see him. He's always traveling.
And what happens when the old abbot dies?
Then we elect a new one.
Are there any candidates to be the new abbot?
Yes, there are. Brothers John and Nevlas. Cursed elections. Since the brothers began talking about them, on one side are brothers who'd like to see John as abbot, on the other those who support Nevlas, and they seem to be...
Tell me about John.
John is the circator and the oldest brother here. It would be only natural if he took the crozier from Peter. He has experience, merit, and composure.
I'd like to know about Nevlas.
Nevlas manages the monastery's property. He doesn't have the most experience, but his drive and heart are... Although perhaps he's too keen to change our routines here, which many brothers...
Why does it matter so much who wins?
Because the future direction of the monastery hangs in the balance. The younger brothers feel they have to work more than their superior brothers, and that the older brothers take a different view. They say the younger monks want privileges they haven't earned.
I thought politics weren't part of the monastic way of life.
You're right, but we know nothing besides the monastery, and the abbot's decisions can influence our entire life. Some of the brothers...
Are there ever any disagreements between the brothers?
Unfortunately, yes. The biggest quarrels right now are about the election.
Tell me something about...
The old abbot...
Tell me something about life here.
Prayer, work, obedience. That just about sums it up.
Can you tell me something about the rule of St. Benedict?
7 centuries ago, Saint Benedict of Nursia wrote a collection of monastic rules, which we still follow today. They're read at every meal. The fundamental precepts are obedience, work and prayer. We're fully devoted to serving God. The outside world...
Do you never want to know what's going on out?
And what should be going on? The sky is just as blue and the grass is just as green. Perhaps the rulers change, but the greatest ruler...
I'm interested in the monastery's history.
It was founded by Saint Procopius 500 years ago. After his death, heretics occupied the place for some time. But then the order was restored and...
Heretics, you say?
They wanted to worship God with some foreign rituals, in a language foreign to God.
What are the roles of the various monks here?
Well, the abbot is the head, but he's not here now. Then there's the prior and the sub-prior, the librarian, porter, and many others. As a novice, you should be particularly mindful of the circators. They're the ones who maintain discipline and punish bad behavior.
What can you tell me about the novices here?
What can I say? You're here to demonstrate your devotion to God and to live a monastic life. After a year, you can make your vows and become a fully fledged brother.
I meant something specific about the brothers that are here.
But you know them yourself. Yorick is an odd one, but he's diligent and eager. Perhaps too eager. Siskin is good company, but a bit too worldly for a monk. Antonius is hardworking and will help with anything, but prays less than he ought. Lucas is as quiet as a mouse, and no one knows much about him. And then we have you, about who I know nothing.
Can you leave the monastery?
Well, where would you go? You have everything you need here. Anyway, all the doors here are closed and locked tight.
Who would you like to be the new abbot?
Brother Nevlas. There are many things wrong here, and John would leave them as they are.
Who's in charge of things?
Abbot Peter.
And what happens when the...
Then we elect...
But bold, hard, proud, and disobedient characters, we should curb at the very beginning of their ill-doing by strife and other bodily punishments. Knowing that it is written, the fool is not corrected with words. And again, beat your son with the rod, and you will deliver his soul.
What would you like?
The rule of Saint Benedict, reading from the Spirit of Silence. Let us do what the prophet said.
Greetings, brother. I'm Gregor, and I'm new here.
Greetings to you, brother. I'm Yodok, the oldest of the novices. I hope you'll like it here in the monastery and that you won't get into trouble.
Trouble?
You're young, perhaps intemperate. You might easily stray from the rules of the order. I suggest you get to know the older monks. You never know when it might come in handy.
I'm interested in the other novices. Do you know anything about Antonius?
Only that he came to the monastery voluntarily, because he didn't want to work in his father's shop. Antonius is all right. You can rely on him. He won't betray your confidence. He's always happy to help, which is more than can be said for the other brothers.
Can you tell me something about yourself?
I would if there was anything noteworthy to say. But I'm just the ordinary son of a landowner, now a monk. There's nothing.
Why did you join the monastery?
Because it was better than living in poverty. As the youngest son, I'm not entitled to inherit my father's estate, but he was kind enough to sell off some cattle and send me here. And you know what? I'm glad to be here. It's better than mucking out manure.
Who would you vote for as the new abbot if you could?
Why do you care? We don't have the right to vote, so we shouldn't get mixed up in it.
I'm just interested, that's all.
I like John better. But like I've said, it's not our place to get involved. It's enough that...
I'd like to ask you something. Who's in charge?
Truthfully, everyone except us. But officially Abbot Peter.
Are there already candidates to...
Brothers John and Nevlas.
Why can't novices vote?
They say we don't have enough experience to decide about anything. Don't worry, we'll get our chance.
Why is who wins so important?
We're young and we'll spend the rest of our lives here. And the abbot decides everything about our lives.
What do you desire, brother?
I'd like to ask you something. Who would you like to...
Brother John, obviously. Nope.
And again, beat your son with the rod, and you will deliver his soul from death. The rule of Saint Benedict, readings on the Spirit of Silence. Let us do what the prophet says. I said, I will guard my way, that I may not sin with my
Praise
tongue.
be to our Lord
I have
Jesus.
regard to my mouth. I was mute.
Praise be to Christ.
I'd like to ask... Are there ever any...
Unfortunately, yes. The biggest quarrel.
I understand. Who would you like to be?
What kind of question is that? John.
Even though it be for good, holy, edifying conversation. For it is written, in much speaking you will not escape sin. And in another place,
What is it, brother?
I'd like to ask... Who would you like...
The old abbot isn't dead yet. It's too early to talk about elections. But if I had to choose between the two who are already putting themselves...
What is it, brother?
I'd like to ask... Who would you like to...
I thought long and hard of...
What is it, brother?
I'd like to ask... Who would you like...
John, definitely.
Ah, Gregor.
I'd like to ask, who would you like to...
Brother Neverlas, there are many things wrong here, and John would...
What do you desire?
I'd like to ask, who would you like to...
Brother Neverlas.
Talk to me, brother.
I'd like to ask, who would you like to...
Definitely Nevlas. Although he's young...
What would you like?
I'd like to ask, who would you like...
I've thought long and hard about it.
What troubles you?
Gregor.
Talk to me, brother.
I'd like to ask, who would you like...
Brother John.
What troubles?
I'd like to ask, who would you like...
I've thought long and hard.
What would you like?
I'd like to ask, who would you like to...
I've thought...
What do you...
I'd like to ask, who would you like...
John.
What would you like?
Praise be to Christ, brother.
I'm looking for something...
And what would that...
I'm looking for lockpicks.
Lock picks? And what would you like those for?
I'd like to practice opening locks, just for the fun of it.
Well, why not? So you heard I used to be a burglar, did you? I put it all behind me as soon as I took the vows. But I do have a few lockpicks left. I'll trade them for food. Get me a bite to eat, and you can have your lockpicks. Can't say fairer than that, can I?
I'm Gregor and I'm new here.
I know. I saw you in the church during the ceremony. I have a feeling we'll be meeting again soon, and often. You see, I'm a circator.
What does that mean?
I make sure everyone observes the rules, does their work, and that everything is the way it should be.
And when it's not the way it should be?
But then we're authorized to mete out punishment. But certainly you won't require correction, will you, brother?
About you in the election.
Ask me anything you...
Tell me something about...
Neverlas is weak and toothless. He's full of hot hair. How anyone could think he'd make a good app.
I'd like to know what...
Well, the young brothers feel they don't have the same rights and responsibilities as we. Neverlas is lying when he says he wants to rock.
I'd like to help you.
I'm convinced Neverlas must have done something that would greatly damage him if everyone found out. If he was preaching war...
So, I should dig something up?
Exactly. But I doubt you'll have any luck. Neverlas is...
Once I find some... Thank you for answering. I'm Gregor, a novice. I saw you at the ceremony.
I know. It was hard not to notice you.
And you are?
Lucas, also a novice. Don't get upset, but I don't want to talk to you. I'm happiest alone.
I'd like to know something about...
I don't know much.
Do you know anything about Yodok?
I don't. He doesn't like me, and he's on very friendly terms with the Circators. That's about it.
Tell me about Antonius.
I'd like to, but there's nothing to tell. I've never spoken to him.
You really don't know anything about anyone?
Don't get upset. I'm sorry I can't...
Will you tell me?
There's nothing I can tell.
I mean, where you're from, what sort of life you had before.
I'm a novice, and my monastic name is...
Come on.
I could, but I don't want to. I'm sorry. I want to stay focused on work. What has been isn't important for us. We cast the past aside when we walk through the monastery.
If you could.
But I can't vote. So what's the point of worry?
I'd like to ask you... Who's in charge?
Truthfully, everyone except us.
Are there already
Brothers John and...
This John?
A Circator. And really, just an unpleasant old man. It's most...
Tell me something about Neville.
Nevlas manages the monastery's property. He's what they call the provost. He'd like to bring back solemnity to the monastery through reform and by returning to...
Praise be to Christ.
I'd be interested... What about Yodok?
Be on good terms with him. If you show even the slightest... He's a slimy little pedant who'll rat you out to the superiors. Once he finishes his novitiate, I imagine he'll want to climb his way up the ladder to...
I'm interested in Lucas.
No one knows much about him. He doesn't talk to anyone. He works, eats. It's as if he wanted to get it all over with as soon...
That's all. Thanks. I'd like to ask you something about... Well, that's all. Thank you for your time, brother.
Praise be to Christ, brother.
I'm interested in Lucas.
Nobody knows much about Lucas. He keeps himself to himself.
God be with you, brother.
Do you have any grounds for suspect?
Quite a lot. And also none at all.
Praise be to Christ, brother.
I'd like to ask...
What is it?
I'm Gregor, a novice.
I know. I saw you at the ceremony. My name is Nebulus, and I'm the provost here. I'm in charge of the monastery's property, as well as handling trade with the outside world.
That means you get to leave the monastery?
No, not at all. I just write lists and send them out.
Tell me about yourself.
I'm the provost of this monastery. It's my job to ensure the monks live a humble life and that any surpluses go to the poor. But in reality, I spend all my time making sure my brother's gluttony and the construction of a new church don't swallow up the few resources we have left.
I'm interested in the election.
You're not alone. Everyone's so worked up about that, they spent no time considering how they...
Why? What's wrong with it now?
Many brothers think more about their stomachs than prayer. The older brethren bend the rules of the order to make them fit their interests. So, to balance the scales, they want the novices to lead exemplary lives.
What sins are you talking?
The scripture says, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." I'm sorry, Gregor, it's not my place to speak about the sins.
Tell me something about...
A new abbot has to be elected once the old one dies. When he becomes abbot, a monk spends most of his time dealing with politics out...
Can you tell me about Abbot?
Peter's wise in the ways of politics and a good shepherd, but as you've already heard, he's old and infirm. The other brothers see him with one foot in the grave, but I still have hope for him. But you, brother, don't let yourself get involved in the games of your superiors. Could you help me with something?
With what?
I'm interested in medicine, and I know there's a cure for the abbot's ailment. With your help, I could find out the details, and together you and I could give old Peter a few more years to do good. What do you say?
You can count on my help. What do you need me to do?
In order to get the recipe for this medicament, a few rules will need to be broken. Now, you know, most of the brothers believe every illness is a message from God, and that it's not our place to deny his will. I, however, think if God sent us not just illnesses, but also the medicine to cure them, then it's our duty to relieve people of their suffering. The cure for Abbot Peter's illness could be contained in one of the books in our library, but it will certainly be amongst the libri prohibiti, the forbidden books, those we aren't permitted to read.
Why are they forbidden?
Because they contain occult and demonic practices, witchcraft and all manner of evil. Or so some people claim. It's nonsense, of course. This is nothing but a book of medicine, albeit one written by a pagan. Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna, is universally acknowledged to be a wise man. But here, at some point, someone decided his book is the work of a Saracen devil and must be kept under lock and key. since then no one can even talk about the book. But the 3 wise men were from the East, were they not?
Where can I find it?
In the library there's a large cabinet with a lock on it. The forbidden books are inside. You'll easily recognize what you're looking for. The cover has not only a Latin inscription, but also Saracen letters. Bring it to me, but leave the other books there. No one will notice if one book disappears, but if more were to vanish, someone would certainly begin to look into it, which is exactly what we don't want.
Is there anything you can tell me that would help?
There's a key to the cabinet in the prior's chambers. The librarian should have another one, or you can acquire some lockpicks. But I can't tell you where or how. Perhaps Brother Celerius could help.
Why can't you do it yourself?
Because I'm one of the highest-ranking monks here.
You could just ask for it.
Do you honestly think I haven't tried? Unfortunately...
I'm ready.
One more important thing. There's always someone in the library during the day. To pass unwatched, you'll need to go at night. It's locked, but I'm sure you'll manage to get in. They say Brother Celerius understands locks, but don't tell him why you need it. Once you have the book, bring it to me, and I'll then use it to make Peter's medicine. We'll soon have the election of the abbot over and done with.
I'm interested in...
You're not alone.
Why? What's wrong with it now?
Many brothers think more about their stomach.
I'll be interested to know more about Brother John.
I don't like to speak ill of people, but Circuitor John is the worst person the monks could pick to represent them. He's nothing but an old schemer and pedant who preaches water but drinks wine. He's won the older brethren over because they know he won't call an end to their debauchery.
Why do you want to become...
Because when I see the way things are headed around here, I have no other option. Itinerant preachers speak of the corrupted black heart. I'd like to change things and bring back meaning and esteem.
That's all. Thank you.
Peace be with you, brother. Praise be to Christ.
Is there any way I...
What would you like to do? Climb up the...
Not exactly.
John isn't my opponent, he's my... But there is something you could help me with. You must know there's a great deal of iniquity here.
Should I find out for you what's going on around here?
Let me make this clear. I want to base my candidacy on putting things in order. But if I don't know exactly what...
Very good then. I'll find out what I can.
Thank you, brother.
I'm here to work.
Excellent. I've been waiting for you. There's the alchemist's laboratory. You'll find ingredients in the chests next to it. Today it's your task to concoct 2 potions to aid digestion. Once you finish them, you'll find me somewhere nearby. Don't forget to let me know when you're done so I can check them.
Salve Domine.
Ah, Gregor, talk to me.
I finished my work.
Show me what you've made. Spectacular, Gregor. You've found your talent. Soon enough, you'll be teaching the other novices.
What would you like?
I've read one of the manuscripts copied by one of the novelists. I think I'm going to cry.
It's that touching, is it?
Touching. More like infuriating. A horrible, abominable waste of parchment.
But they'll learn. We were known for it.
Peace be with you, brother.
What is it, brother?
Is it possible to learn something about the other novices?
Only the abbot and the prior.
And can I see them?
No. The abbot writes and keeps his records in his chambers, and only he and the prior are permitted to read them.
I found this piece of parchment. It looks like it's been ripped out of a book. Do you know what it is?
It appears to be a page torn out of Ovid.
Ovid? What is that? Is it the name of a book?
Not what, but who. Ovid was a great Roman poet. We have a few volumes by him in the library, but one of them vanished one day. Now I believe I can guess what happened. Brother Eustace, may the earth rest lightly on him, was quite narrow-minded when it came to classical literature. If a book had any mention of woman at all, he condemned it as a heretical work. If he'd had his way, all such books would have been burned. Ovid's The Art of Love must have been such a thorn in his side that he stole it from the library, tore it up, and hid the pages wherever he could.
Can you tell me something about the book?
The Art of Love is a sort of manual instructing young people.
Oh, would you like me to put the book back together again?
Absolutely. Eustace's wits weren't the sharpest, so I'm sure he didn't destroy any of the pages. I imagine he hid them throughout the monastery. It might take you a while to find them all, but when you do, you can rest assured Ovid will return to his rightful place in the library.
Good. I'll look around for it.
Thank you, brother. It's of no great importance, but if you can find all 10 pages, I'll be most grateful.
Where should I look?
If I knew, I wouldn't have asked you to do it. The pages of the book could be hidden anywhere, from the garden to the refectory.
I found a few pages of the torn-up book, but I still don't have them all.
Wonderful. Keep looking, then. I'm sure you can find the rest.
I'm here to work.
Good. This is most likely the first time you've ever done this in your life. But it's easier than you think. Just a bit of practice and learning Latin. Here's the original, and here are the blank parchments on which you'll copy what you read in the original. Is that clear? Then you may begin, and try not to make a mess of it. Good work. I can see you have talent.
Praise be.
Praise be to
In a rush to pray? Oh, you're interested in what's inside? Forbidden books, written by the devil.
Salve. Be well.
Attention, brother. What's your I'm a new brother, a novice, Gregor. I don't know my way around.
Welcome amongst us. Yes, yes. The Lord wanted me to take over the abbot's duties in his absence, but how do you like it here?
It's wonderful here.
I'm glad to hear it. May your enthusiasm...
Will you tell me...
Of course. Abbot Peter is old, and we're afraid he'll soon be with our Heavenly Father. When he's gone, someone else will have to lead the monastery.
Anyone can become the abbot.
Precisely. We have two candidates, Nevlas and John. I know that some brothers have already begun scheming, but don't even think about getting mixed up in it.
Hard, proud, and disobedient characters, he should curb at the very beginning of their ill-doing by stripes and other bodily punishments, knowing that it is written, the fool... Beat your son with the rod, and you will deliver his soul from death. The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on the abbot. Therefore, when anyone receives the name of abbot, he ought to govern his disciples with a twofold teaching. That is to say, he should show them all that is good and holy, by his deeds even more than by his words, expounding the Lord's commandments in words to the intelligent among his disciples, but demonstrating the divine precepts by his actions for those of harder hearts and ruder minds. The abbot should always remember what he is and what he is called, and should know that to whom more is committed, from him more is required. Let him make no distinction of persons in the monastery. Let him not love one more than another, unless it be one whom he finds better in good works or in obedience. And let him not shut his eyes to the faults of offenders, but, since he has the authority, let him cut out those faults by the roots as soon as they begin to appear. Remembering the fate of Heli, the priest of Silas, for well-disposed in those of good understanding, let him correct with verbal admonition the first and second time. But bold, hard, proud, and disobedient characters, he should curb at the very beginning of their ill-doing by stripes and other bodily punishments, knowing that it is written, the fool is not corrected with words. And again, beat your son with the rod, and you will deliver his soul from death. The rule of Saint Benedict. Readings on daily manual labor. Idleness is the enemy of the soul. Therefore, the brethren should be occupied at certain times in manual labor, and again at fixed hours in sacred reading. To that
My name's Gregor, a novice.
You can call me Siskin. But are you here of your own free will, or is this a punishment? Although it's not important. Welcome to purgatory.
Did you say purgatory?
You'll see soon enough. Soon enough.
Will you tell me something about yourself?
Look, nothing against you, but I prefer not to talk about my past.
We
Are you hiding something? Why are you so reluctant to tell me anything about yourself?
I'm hiding a lousy past that I'd rather forget. I hate to think of all I lost when they stuck me in here. And also because I really hate the question, aren't you the son of the famed Sir Smil Flashka Pardubitz? I was rich and I had everything. But then my father began to feel his time approaching, so he decided to send a son to the monastery. And, being the youngest, a lot fell on me. I've no head for managing the estate, and they said I'd squander it. Can you imagine? Me, in a monastery. So I took what coin I could from home with me, so I didn't lose out completely.
What about the dagger?
That's a memento of better times. Father gave me that when I was a little lad. And it's done right by me more than once, when I got drunk somewhere with the wrong sort of people.
Do you know how to fight?
And how? Boozing and brawling. God, how I miss that here.
What's your plan with this treasure?
To get out of here as soon as I can. I'll wait another year or two until my hot-headed brothers cool off a bit, then I'll take the silver and run off somewhere, far, far away from here.
Tell me more about the book.
I found it here in the library. It was on a shelf where it should never have been. So I hid it to read later. It's the Necronomicon. Ghosts, demons, and invocations of powers beyond our world. Only it's written in a strange language that I can't really make sense of. All bara this and bara that. Who knows what it means? I tried to count the syllables, read the words backwards, but nothing. I'm not getting anywhere with it.
Oh, I'm not too sure what the prior or the cicada would say about a book like that. Actually, what anyone would say. It sounds quite prohibited.
Prejudice. But you're right, it is prohibited. For no good reason, though. Has knowledge ever done anybody any harm?
You're right. Knowledge should never be prohibited.
I'm glad you agree. Just take a look at the book. Maybe you'll be able to make some sense of it. I haven't grasped a single syllable. Just please don't tell anyone about the book. If the brothers learn that I took it from the library and hid it, I'll be in a lot of trouble. Our brothers' minds are closed to a thirst for knowledge.
What kind of a book is it?
I found it here in the library. It was on a shelf where it should never have been. So I hid it to read later. It's the Necronomicon. Ghosts. Who knows?
Oh.
You're right. I'm glad you agree. Just please.
There's a lot of coin in the stash. You have to admit it looks suspicious.
I admit it might look that way. But if I tell you what I'm hiding from everybody, I think you'll understand why. I hate to think of all I lost when they stuck me in here. And also because I really hate the question, aren't you the son of the famed Sir Smil Flashka Pardubitz? I was rich and I had everything. I've no head.
But you didn't have to come here if you didn't want to.
No, not if I didn't mind being left to beg alms by the city gate. I had one choice, the monastery or nothing.
They must have realised you robbed them.
I donated some of the silver to the monastery when I came in, just to piss them off. I can just see my brothers, my siblings, arguing.
And you stashed away the remainder.
Indeed so.
Tell me more about the...
I found it here in the library. It's the necro... Who knows?
Oh,
Prejudice.
you're up.
Oh, I'm glad you agree. Just, please...
I'll leave you be. Don't worry.
Thank you. And please, Gregor.
Will you tell me something?
Look, nothing...
Are you hiding?
I'm hot.
That's all I...
Please.
I'm still...
It's no big...
I'll leave...
Thank you.
How is it that you don't get any penance for missing morning prayers?
I've paid off the circators to turn a blind eye. And the other monks don't notice as long as you show your face there from time to time. No one's too awake at that...
I'd be interested to hear what you think about... Tell me about Antonio.
Oh, if there was a monk I'd recommend as a friend, with of course the exception of myself, it would be Antonius.
I'm interested in Yoda.
What could interest you about him? He's a no-good rat. He'll turn you in for the price of a turnip. I bet my life that if...
That doesn't sound too...
It wasn't meant to. No matter what you do here, watch out for him. He's got his eye on everyone.
What can you tell me about...
It's a tricky situation with Lucas. No one really knows anything about him. I've tried so many times to talk to him.
That's all. Who would you elect?
Most likely Neblas. He's a fine fellow and he seems on it. The monastery will still be a monastery no matter who's in charge. If you really want to talk more about it...
Even though it be for good, holy...
I'd like to know some...
I don't...
What can you tell me about...
Not a lot. I don't know him. Actually, I don't know...
For speaking and teaching belong to the
Are you
master.
joking?
Why should I?
I'd have thought you might want to know who you'll be spending the rest of your...
Don't get upset.
To be asked of the superior, it should be asked with all the humility and submission inspired by reverence. But as for coarse jests and
What do you do?
I'm interested in... What can you tell me of...
Oh, he's always got a smile on the new friend. But I reckon he don't belong in the monastery. I'm surprised he hasn't been thrown out already. If it was up to me, he'd be out on his ear right away.
Sounds like you don't have much time for him.
I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. Believe me, Gregor, he's hiding something from us. In fact, now I come to think of it, I haven't seen him at morning prayers for a while.
What would you like?
I'd be interested... What can you tell me about...
That there's no man alive less suitable for the monastic life than him.
You don't know young Lord Capon.
I've heard things. Siskin must have been like him, fighting, drinking, fornicating, but then he ended up in here.
Why is he in the monastery?
No one knows. Maybe he's hiding from something, or maybe he's being punished.
Do you think he has a secret?
Don't we all? But unlike the others, he absolutely refuses to speak about his life before the monastery.
That's all I wanted to know about him. Thanks. That's all. Thanks.
Knowing that this is written, the fool is not corrected with words. And again, beat your son with the rod, and
Praise be to Christ.
You have some interesting skills for a monk.
What's there to tell? We're all...
So you turn to...
I said about... Without that...
No one, brother. I'm looking for something...
And what...
I'm looking for
Lock picks?
I'd like to practice...
Well, why not? So you heard I'll trade them. But as for perpetual back, and for such conversation we do not permit a disciple to open his mouth.
Pay more attention, brother.
Then he'd soon get his mouth. Elevator's on. I'm telling you, someone's been creeping around in the corridor at night. What am I saying, creeping? He was stomping about like a bear.
That must have been Brother Potato. He can't sleep and prays long into the night.
there. Must have been Brother Cicada. Can't sleep as very strongly as the light.
I'm telling you, someone's been creeping around in the corridor at night. When I say creeping, she was stomping about like a bear. That must have been Brother Cicada. Can't sleep and prays long into the night.
Pay more attention, brother.
He was stomping about like a bear. That must have been Brother Cicada. He can't sleep and prays long into the night. Someone's breathing.
Slow down, brother.
In a rush to pray?
Let's hope things will settle down a bit around here.
You mean after the Talmberg attack on the brigands before? I didn't expect too much of it.
No. Why's that?
There was only a handful of bandits.
A handful? There was dozens of them. And foreign heathens, too.
Is that right?
There was a great, big battle. Them buckers filled the whole of Pribyslavia. The Talmberg garrison had to get reinforcements to beat them. There's wounded lying at Talmberg now, and plenty new graves and Ujiks, but they cleared that wasp's nest good and proper.
If you say so. Well, I still reckon we haven't seen the last of it. That Sigismund is still on the rampage, attacking the nobles one by one across the land, and brigands are like
Watch your steps, brother.
He's obviously off the tip.
What do we have here? A nice sharp dagger. Now what would a monk need that for?
Peace be with you, brother.
Strong constitution. He'll still be on this earth for many years to come.
I wish all could help. But I want change. A little